स्वागत है दोस्तों. वेलकम बैक. टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड द टाइमलाइन ऑफ मैथमेटिक्स. बहुत मेहनत की है आपके लिए, चूँकि मैथमेटिक्स इज द मदर ऑफ साइंस. सो वी आर going to see how the mathematics relate to the other branches of the sciences. Okay, so let's start. In 1500 BC, in Babylon's established the metric of flat two-dimensional space by observation in their efforts to keep track of the land for legal and economic purposes. In 1500, that means in 1500 BC, in Babylonians established a rule to track land for legal and economic purpose. In 518 BC, Pythagoras, a great educated by the mysteries in Egypt and Babylon, founds a community of men and women calling themselves mathematicoi. Okay, mathematicoi in southern mathematicoi in southern Italy. They believe that reality is in essence mathematical. Pythagoras noted that vibrating lyric strings with the harmonious chords have lengths that are proportional by a whole number. The Pythagoras theorem proves by a reasoning what the Babylonians figured out by the measurement 100 years early. Pythagoras theorem given by the Pythagoras in 518 BC, but this theorem proved by reasoning by the Babylonians before 100 BC. And now in 387 BC, the time period of Plato, after traveling to Italy, that land of Pythagoras, and learning about the Pythagoreans, found his academy in Athens. Plato traveled to Italy, learned about the Pythagoreans, then he come back to his country and found the academy in Athens, and continues to develop a new ideas that reality must be expressible in mathematical term. But Anthem at that time has developed a notoriously misogynistic culture. Unlike this role model Pythagoras, whose school developed many women's mathematicoi, Plato does not allow women to participate. This is the biggest drawback of the Plato schools in Athens, academies in Athens, that there is not allowed women to participate. Now let's come in 300 BC, that is time period of Euclid. He is the great mathematician. He has expressed a reality, how to understand the mathematics. Okay, so it is completely all the branches of the curve is expressed near about the Euclid. So who is this? He is the Alexandria, a gifted teacher, produced a Element, one of the top mathematics textbook of recorded history, which organized the existing Mediterranean understanding of geometry into the coherent logical framework. He is the great mathematician, the first person who got it given the best mathematics elements. Okay, so he organized the existing Mediterranean understanding the geometry. He is father of geometry. He is the Euclid is the father of geometry. Okay, in 225 BC, the Ionian mathematician Apollonius writes a conics and introduced the term ellipse, parabola and hyperbola to describe a conic sections. So remember that Euclid is the father of geometry, and In 225, after the 75 years of Euclid, Apollonius writes the conic and introduced the term ellipse, parabola, hyperbola, and describe into the conic sections. Now in 140 AD, after the decades, so 140 AD, Nicolaean mathematician and astronomer Hipparchus Hipparchus develops what will be the known as the trigonometry. So who is the father of trigonometry? Hipparchus. He is the father of trigonometry. That is Hipparchus. In 100, just wait. We try to make it. Oh, I think stapling was bad idea. So let's see it. Okay, have you seen it? It is the better. This way it is a better way. Okay, so in 150 AD, the amangasted by Alexandrian astronomer and mathematician Claudius Ptolemy asserts that the sun and planets orbit around the earth in presence in perfect circle. Claudius Ptolemy suggested in 150. Claudius Ptolemy suggested that the sun and orbits or planets orbit around the earth in a perfect cycle. Ptolemy's work is so influenceable that it will become official church doctrine when the Christians later come to the rule Europe. So the word of Claudius Ptolemy is the official church doctrine that the sun and earth orbits around the earth in a perfect circle. In 150 AD, as a glorious 2000 years of the ancient meritorious mathematician and science comes to be the close, Hypatia of Alexandria, a renowned teacher, mathematician, astronomer, and a priestess of Ares, is kidnapped from a public religious procession and brutally murdered by a mob or angry Christian monk. In 1618, a Hindu mathematician, 1680, you are coming and in India, old India, that is the Hindu mathematician, astronomer Brahmagupta, Hindu mathematician, astronomer Brahmagupta writes, Brahm Sput Siddhant, the opening of the universe. Hindu mathematician developed the numerical and started the investigating number theory and started investigating number theory. The spirit of Islam leads in 1830 AD. The spirit of Islam leads to the spirit of the written Arabic languages, as the ancient Greek and the Hindu works are the translate into the Arabic. A culture of the mathematician and astronomy develops. The peak of this culture, flourishing, is represented by the Arabic mathematician Al-Khwarizmi, working at the House of the Wisdom in Baghdad, who develops what will be known as the algebra in his work Hizab al-Jawar al-Makubila. Okay, so who is the father of algebra is Al-Khwarizmi. His book is Hizab al-Jawar al-Makubila. Now in 100,000 AD, 1070 AD, Iranian poet, mathematician, and astronomer Khay- Khayyam, Omar Khayyam begins his treatise on demonstration of a problem of algebra. His book name is Treatise on demonstration of a problem of algebra classify the cubic equations that would be solved by conic sections. Khayyam was such a brilliant poet that history has nearly forgotten that he has also a brilliant scientist and a mathematician. The moving finger variety writing. Okay, so now let's say in 1400 1120 AD, Adalard of Bath, Adalard of Bath, translate works of the Euclid, and Al-Khwarizmi into the Latin and introduced them to the European scholars introduced them to European scholars. In 1400 AD, Euclid Euclid's Elements is published using the revolutionaries, the new technology of the printing press, leading to the revolution in the education and the scholarships as the information becomes more difficult for the authorities to control. In 1580 and 1543, Copernicus published De Revolutionibus Orbium Coelestium on the revolution of the heavenly sphere. The meaning of revolution of the heavenly spheres, asserting that the earth and planet revolve around the sun, and the Catholic Church was accorded and the official holy status of the Ptolemaic geometrical universe. Copernicus avoided the prosecutions as the heretic by the waiting until he ended his life to publish his controversial claims. So you understand, this is a beautiful story that Claudius Ptolemy in 115 suggests that thus Earth and Sun and planet orbit around our Earth in a perfect cycle. But Copernicus in 1543, almost from the 1400 years, after 1400 years, Copernicus comes and claims that the Earth and planets revolve around the Sun, and he will be the claim the death by the church. So in 1589, Pisa University mathematics instructor Galileo Galilei studies the motion of the objects and begins a book, De Moto. The name of book of Galileo is De Moto, that means on motion, which he never finished. Galileo in 1602, that is AD or our times, Galileo observed that the period of swimming pendulum is independent of the amplitude of the swimming. Swimming of pendulum is independent of the amplitude of the swimming. In 1609, Johannes Kepler claims in the Formal Astronomia Nova that the orbit of the